Good evening. I hope you are well. Why do you delay? Why are you idle? They ask. Do you not realize that if you don't seize the day will flee from you? Even if you do seize the day will flee. That's a quote from Seneca in his book, The Shortness of Life. I was reading that today because I've been reflecting on the shortness of my own life. After I visited the town where I went to university. And I visited there recently, and I was on my bike, riding up and down the streets, and you know how sometimes you visit a place that you haven't been in months or even years, and it takes you back? Everything still feels the same as when you left, and the buildings look the same. You go inside of the buildings, they're decorated the same. Similar smells from the coffee shops and the restaurants. And it's like you're back in the shoes of who you were before you left. And that's what it was like for me. I was back in the shoes of who I was before I left. And I could still remember the very first day that I went to college. My mom dropped me off in the dorm, and she was crying, and I was crying as well. But I was happy. I was happy because there was so much opportunity ahead of me, so much potential in front of me. It felt like the whole world was an opportunity that was right in front of me. And I was thrilled to be there. And that was the very first day that I went to college. And I've been graduated for 6 years. I can remember the first day like it was yesterday. So it's crazy sometimes how life keeps going and things just move on without you. And I kept riding my bike, and I went to the coffee shop that I used to frequent. I got a double shot of espresso. The vibes of the people were still the same. And then I went to the house. I drove by the house where I used to live. And it's like my life flashed before my eyes. It's like the timeline that I'm on in this reality flashed before my eyes. And I saw what could have been, because the year that I lived in this specific house, it was only 1 year. It was genuinely one of the best years of my life, and it almost didn't happen. And I was still riding my bike, and I was pondering. I was like, why did that almost not happen? I can remember that I was living with 4 of my friends, and one of these guys brought us all together. And I remember when he asked me if I wanted to live there, I almost said no. But I couldn't remember why did I almost say no, and I kept thinking about it. And the reason why I couldn't remember is because I'm in a completely different headspace than I was at that time. That was my 4th year of college. I went for 5 total years. And at that stage of my life, I had so much animosity, a strange chip on my shoulder. And I still deal with this from time to time. I talk about it, but it was off the rails at this point. I felt like the whole world was against me. I felt like I always had something that I had to prove. And I truly felt like I wasn't good enough. And so when he asked me, I had a proclivity to say no, because it was more comfortable if I would have said no. If I would have lived in an apartment with one other person, or just myself, I could have kept practicing my seclusion, my reclusivity, kept being alone just because it was more comfortable. But what flashed before my eyes is I realized that I would have missed out on one of the best years of my life, and that year changed me, and those guys became some of my best friends in the world, and just a general gratitude. In the same way that I was happy to be at college the first day that I was there, I was just thrilled to be living with these guys. It was just a great time, separate from any fruits that may have came from it. We were waking up, and we were making breakfast together. We were changing our diet to try to eat healthier and going on to the same diet. We were reading the same books and talking about these books. And we were just spending a lot of time together. We were sharing our lives with each other. And when I started to think about the fact that I almost said no, a certain nervousness came over me because, man, if you do that too many times, if you say no too many times, you're going to just miss out on life entirely. You're going to miss out on life entirely. And the only reason, it was animosity. I just had I felt like the world was against me, and I had a general animosity, not towards these guys. I loved these guys, but I just always wanted to be alone. And the only way that I could describe it was that I was dysphoric with my life and myself, and because I was dysphoric with my life and myself, I had a certain hatred within my heart that I didn't pay attention to, and I was becoming bitter. I was becoming a bitter person. And so I want to read this to you because this is what else I was reading from The Shortness of Life today. The end of this is powerful. It punches you. And it's just a paragraph. And he says, when Livius Drusus, a bold and energetic man, had with the support of a huge crowd drawn from all Italy, proposed new laws in the evil measures of the Gracchi, seeing no way out for his policy, which he could neither carry through nor abandon when once started on, he is said to have complained bitterly against the life of unrest that he had from the cradle, and to exclaim that he was the only person who had never had a holiday, even as a boy. For while he was still a ward and wearing the dress of a boy, he had the courage to commend to the favor of a jury those who were accused, and to make his influence felt in the law courts, so powerfully indeed that it is very known that in certain trials he forced a favorable verdict. To what lengths was such premature ambition destined to go? One might have known that such precocious hardihood would result in great personal and public misfortune, and so it was too late for him to complain that he had never had a holiday, when from boyhood he had been a troublemaker and a nuisance in the forum. It is a question whether he died by his own hand, for he fell from a sudden wound received in his groin, some doubting whether his death was voluntary, no one whether it was timely. Some doubting whether or not his death was voluntary, no one whether it was timely. And so there Seneca's talking, in the book he goes through all of these different people and the way that they waste their life while complaining about the fact that they're wasting their life. And there he's describing a guy who perished at a young age. But before he perished, he just kept complaining about his life and the fact that he had no leisure while choosing to take this path of ambition. And so everybody's seeing the truth except himself. And he's complaining about it all of the time. And so after he finally perishes, people are questioning whether or not he did it by his own hand or if it happened to him. But no one questioned whether it was his time to go, because he'd basically been asking for it. He'd been talking about how bad his life was for so long and how miserable it was. He was asking for it. And so, if I could say one thing to my younger self, my 20-year-old self, that's what age I was when I lived in that house. It was a miracle from God that I got to experience that year, because I was at risk of sabotaging myself, and I'm thankful that I got to live that year. But the one thing I would say, the only one thing that I would say, it's not about doing something specific or not doing something specific, but lose the animosity. Let go of the hatred within your heart. It doesn't do anything good for anybody, and it's worse for yourself. And so let it all go. If you need to come over your past and figure out why you feel that way, do it. But don't let another day pass carrying this bitterness in your heart. And for now, that's all that I have. Goodbye.